So I got 3 Xbox controllers in front of me right now. I don't like this. I don't like this.
That is a controller player!
Before I talk about these 3 Xbox controllers, let me let you know where I'm coming from here, because I'm different than most of you guys probably watching this video. My needs as a controller player are probably a lot different than most of yours, because with me predominantly being on PC now, my needs as a controller player is I just need quality thumbsticks and some paddles on the back, and I need it not to break on me, and I need to be reasonably priced, because I know I'm not really gonna use it, so I don't really want to spend a ton of money on it because the value just isn't really there for me. And those are the main things that I'm looking at when I'm looking at a pro controller, because I don't want to use a regular controller. I was using regular controllers from like birth up until age, I want to say like 15 or 16. After that, I pretty much only use pro controllers from that point on. And then when the new consoles came out, we had that little bit of a waiting period when the pro controllers weren't available. And that's when I switched back to a regular controller, and I absolutely hated it. The new ones came out, jumped back on the bandwagon, never left again. At some point, got tired of buying them, switched to PC, start playing keyboard and mouse. They last a lot longer, I'll tell you that much. But it's not why we're here today. We're here because we're looking at 3 Xbox controllers. So moral of the story, I was just letting you know, I'm giving you a review of these 3 controllers in comparison from a PC player's perspective, or a console turned PC player's perspective. So value to me might be different than you. My PC players, you guys will probably jive with me. I'm sure you will. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this comparison. We got the Razer Wolverine Tournament Edition. We got the Power A Fusion Pro controller, and then we have the Microsoft Elite Controller Series 2. So I think the Wolverine is around like 100 to 120 bucks. This Power 8 controller is around 80 bucks, and this Elite Series 2 is about 180 bucks. So 3 different price ranges, similar features, some totally different features than each. And they all warrant their price tag a bit differently too. And we'll get into that. First, let's talk about the Razer Wolverine, the controller that I bought first on this list. And I still like this controller to this day. So this controller is pretty unique. It's from Razer PC company. What makes this one a bit more special than the others, this one has mechanical face buttons. So they give you like this really satisfying tactile click when you press in the face buttons. The triggers are really good. They give you a really good response. The back buttons on the back are super easy to hit. These are like a really similar design to the Astro C40 controller on PS4, but like a little bit better. And with this controller being wired, you don't have to worry about battery life or recharging or any of that stuff. And then you also have 2 more additional mechanical buttons right here that are also remappable. And this controller even has RGB. It has this little RGB ring right here. Like, what kind of controller has RGB? This thing is freaking sweet. Personally, I think the thumbsticks on it are a little bit too short, so I actually bought some PlayStation 4 control freaks to fit them onto the thumbsticks here. And they don't fit the best, but they do get the job done, and they don't really come off, so I'm not really complaining about it. But this gives me just about the perfect range of motion. The thumbsticks aren't the most smooth. That's kind of a knock against it, but other than that, I like the aesthetic of this controller. I like the feel, the comfort. This controller is fairly lightweight as well, and I'm not mad that it's not wireless because I don't mind not having to charge my controller. Some of you guys might be different. Since that's the case, we got the wired controller camp over here, and then we have the wireless controller camp over here. So we got $80, $120, and $180. That's the difference between wireless and wired. Since I've already got them separated, we got micro USB, and then we have USB Type-C. And this one also has wireless charging too. Forgot to mention that, you just drop it in the case. Also, controllers that come with cases. If you buy the Wolverine Ultimate, I believe it does have a case. I can't remember. I didn't really bother buying the Wolverine Ultimate because the paddle design on the back didn't look like it was gonna last a long time. That's why I went with the Tournament Edition. But it doesn't come with a carrying case in the box, whereas these 2 do. The Power A for $80 comes with a carrying case, and so does the Elite 2. You can swap out the thumbsticks on both of these controllers. You cannot swap out the thumbsticks on the Razer. Hence why I put the control freaks on there, because you can't swap them out. These 2 controllers offer software control. This one does not. This one you have to do all the remapping right here. It is really simple. You press and hold this button. You can remap the paddles here to any of the face buttons. These 2, you have your own dedicated app. You have a built-in Elite app into the settings for the Xbox Elite V2. And then Razer has Razer Synapse for Xbox on the Xbox as well as in the Windows Store. All 3 of these controllers you can use on PC as well. So if you're just looking for a controller to use for PC, you can buy all 3 of them and they'll all work just fine. But the Elite controller, because it's wireless, is the only controller that you can use wirelessly on PC. So the grips on the controller, the Power A feels the most grippy. The Elite 2 has the grip that wraps around to the front of the controller, which feels pretty nice. Feels somewhat slippery, but not really bad. It's still pretty grippy. The Razer controller has the least amount of grip, but I will say that this plastic on the front with your skin oils, it is decently grippy, but it will make your hand feel kind of sweaty, not gonna lie. And then the grips on the back are pretty slippery. If you're looking for this Microsoft auxiliary jack to use anything else, the Elite Series 2 is gonna be the only controller that has this jack. The other 2 only have the 3.5mm jack. All 3 of them have a 3.5, but the Elite is the only one with the auxiliary jack from Microsoft. Buttons on the back. So on the Elite V2, they stay in by magnets. On the Power A, they have like their own type of mechanism, but they are removable. On the back of the Wolverine, they are not removable. Trigger stops, all 3 of them have trigger stops, but the Wolverine has 2 stages of trigger stops. You have your full press and your half press, and that's it. On the Elite Series 2 and the Power A, you have 3-stage trigger stops. So you have a medium half press, and then you have a quick release, and then you have your full press. And that goes for the Elite 2 as well. You've got all of those settings and that customizability. Removable faceplate, only the Power A has the removable faceplate. They have a white version with like these bronze and copper type accents, and then they have a black and green version as well. And you can swap out the thumbsticks too. One thing I will say about the Power A, this to me feels like it has the most buttery smooth thumbsticks and the most controlled. The Elite Series 2, the way they snap back, and it's quite stiff, where this feels a little bit more relaxed. But these thumbsticks are pretty close to being just as smooth. These actually are metal. There's a lot more higher quality build materials in the Elite V2, which these two feel like a similar weight. So they feel very close in terms of the weight, but the Elite is gonna be the best feeling controller in the hand based on the build materials and the quality. This is not far off, but it is definitely lacking some features. Now, when I say that these both have software control, they have different software control. So you have to use the software obviously to remap the buttons and stuff like that. But with the Razer, unfortunately, you don't have profiles. On the Elite, you have up to 3 profiles. On the Power A, you also don't have profiles. So that's another way where the Elite wins in that category. In terms of the button feel, and the triggers are pretty good. Face buttons are pretty decent. Thumbsticks, my favorite thumbsticks are on the Power A. I think that the Elite 2 has the better bottom triggers than the Power A, but the Razer, I do enjoy the fact that they have these additional buttons right here. I like that quite a bit. These two, just having the extra buttons right there so that I'm not getting confused with having 4 paddles down here and accidentally hitting the wrong one and having to switch weapon or reload or something like that. I like how these are really nicely separated and really easy to hit. At first, I thought that they were gonna be kind of weird, but when you're looking at the bumper right here and you swap over to hitting that button, it feels very natural. The D-pad, that's obvious. The Razer is not very good in terms of D-pad, especially if you play other games that aren't FPS games. If you play FPS, this D-pad is gonna work fine for you. If you play other games like driving games or fighting games or anything where you gotta scroll around the D-pad and move around and stuff like that, these two are definitely gonna fare better for you because they just give you a little bit more range of motion. Whereas this one, clearly they're not connected in the middle. So which of these controllers is gonna last you the longest? I don't know. The Razer Wolverine, I've had the longest and have used the most. The Power A has been my preferred controller ever since I got it, but I've still been playing a ton of PC, so I don't have nearly as many hours as I do on this controller than I do this one. The Elite Series 2, 1, I don't play a lot of console anymore, and 2, it's not mine, so I'm not keeping it, so I'm not really too sure about the durability of this one either, so I can't really say. Getting back to that PC player's perspective, personally, the best deal in terms of just getting the features that I care about, like having the remappable pedals, longer thumbsticks without the need for control freaks in this case, and not having to worry about charging my controller, and it's the most reasonably priced, did I say that? I would pick the Power A. That's just me. It's only 80 bucks, probably goes on sale every so often. It's got the removable pedals and it looks super clean in that white and copper color scheme. The Elite Series 2. If I mained console, if I wanted a wireless controller, I'm left with basically no options. So this would be the default winner if I based it purely on buying a wireless pro controller. It's either this or a scuff. I'm not buying another Xbox scuff. Like both my Xbox scuffs got thumbstick drift within a year and the paddles broke. At least one or two of the paddles became unresponsive within the same year. So I'm good. But I'm not gonna leave the Razer out because I don't mind using the Control Freaks, because obviously the Control Freaks are the most grippy thumbsticks. And this controller has RGB and it has these mechanical face buttons, and the paddles on their back are super easy to hit. I mean, dude, this one's really good too. I don't really know which of these is the clear winner because they're all good in their own ways. It's not a one size fits all. If it was, we would only have one option if it was one size fits all. But we have more than one option, which is really nice. So with that being said, based on all the things that I said, research that you've done, if you looked on these products websites, which one do you like the best? Drop a comment in the comment section below and let me know why you think one of these is your preferred controller and why you will go with it over X, Y, and Z, and what makes it better. Because personally, I like all three of them. They're all special in their own way. They all have pros and cons. Personally, as a cheap PC player that would rather spend more money on a nice keyboard and mouse, this one is my favorite. My number two going to this one because it's not that much more expensive and it has RGB. So yeah, it has RGB. Come on now, let's be real here. The Elite 2, maybe I will give it a pass if it had RGB, but this thing doesn't have good Amazon reviews, so I don't know. This is a nice controller. It's like a technological marvel. I'm glad that Microsoft put a ton of tech into this, like having a wireless charger built into the case, but it has a wireless charger, but it doesn't have a battery. So like when it's not plugged in, it's not charging anything. So like it won't charge. Like let's say you grab your controller and you throw it in the case and you leave. Now, I mean, you got a dead case and a dead controller if your controller was dead. Like on the way to your friend's house, if this had a battery, it could have been charging your controller. That could have been a game changer, but it doesn't. And it still costs almost $200, so not for me. But yeah, all three of them are really nice. I like all three of them. Honestly, I do. But which one's right for you? Again, let me know in the comment section below. That's all I got for you guys. If you guys enjoy, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. If you're new to Too Much Tech, feel free to join the Discord server as well. I think we got over 200 people in our Discord now. We'd love to have even more people, more input. I post like early stuff of like what I'm gonna review and stuff like that. Ask for you guys' input and see what I'm gonna review next. Good things like that. Join if you're cool people. Love to have you. Thanks again for tuning in to Too Much Tech. I will catch you guys in the next video.